My coach told me, get in the Mediterranean as much as you can before race day. Get comfortable in open water. Best advice I got, because on race morning in Spain, just a few days ago, the water was rough and I was ready. I'm Lynn Weimar, and today I want to share what happened during my practice swims in the Mediterranean and why preparation in hard conditions matters more than you think. Here's the thing about open water swimming. It's completely different from pool swimming. In a pool, you can see the bottom, the lines, the walls. You know exactly where you are. In open water, you can't see the bottom. And if you can, it doesn't really matter much. There are waves, current. Often you can't see where you're going. And if you're not used to it, it's scary. I live in Idaho. I don't get much open water practice, maybe a few times a year in lakes, which are calm compared to the ocean. So when my coach said, get in the Mediterranean before race day, I knew why. I needed to get comfortable. I needed to practice in conditions similar to what I'd face on race morning. And that turned out to be the best decision I made. First practice swim in Spain, the water was calm. Beautiful, perfect conditions. Paul and I swam together, and I'll tell you more about his role in a minute. And it felt good. We got comfortable with the temperature, with the wetsuit, with the entry and exit. This was confidence building. This was, okay, we can do this. If every practice swim had been like that, I would have felt ready. But conditions aren't always perfect. And that's why what happened on the other practice days mattered even more. Second day for practice swim, I skipped it. I had a long bike ride and a 40-minute run scheduled that day, and my body needed to focus on that. And that's okay. Rest is part of preparation too. You don't have to do everything. You have to do what matters most. That day, the bike and run mattered more than another swim. Third day, the day I stayed out of the water, the wind was blowing, whitecaps everywhere, waves crashing hard into the shore. We walked down to the beach, looked at that water and said, nope, not today. And you know what? That was the right call. Because there's a difference between practicing in hard conditions and practicing in genuinely dangerous conditions. I wasn't going to risk injury or a bad experience just to say I got in the water. Sometimes wisdom is knowing when not to push. But here's the thing. We didn't give up on practicing. We just said, not today. We'll try again tomorrow. Fourth day to attempt a practice swim, the one that changed everything. We woke up that morning and we knew it's still going to be rough out there, but we made a decision before we even looked at the conditions. We said, we're getting in the water today, no matter what. And then we did something smart. We removed barriers ahead of time. We put our wetsuits on in the condo before we walked down to the beach. Why? Because if we walked down to the beach, looked at the rough water, and then had to decide whether to put the wetsuit on, we might talk ourselves out of it. But if we're already in the wetsuit, we're committed, we're going. We got to the beach and the water was still rough. No whitecaps, which was encouraging, but waves were still crashing. We walked down the beach to find a slightly more protected cove, a place where we could get out into open water a bit more easily. And you know what? Those rollers looked way bigger once we were in them than they did from the shore. Challenges always look bigger from the inside. But we were okay. We handled it. We only swam about 600 yards, not that far, but the distance wasn't the point. The point was get comfortable in rough water. Face the hard conditions, prove to ourselves we could do it. And we did. When we got out, I felt ready. The confidence I'd been building all week, it was solid now. I knew if race day is rough, I can handle it. I have to tell you about Paul's role in all this. Paul is my husband. We just got married about 6 months ago. He doesn't consider himself a swimmer, but he put on swim fins, and with those he can match my speed pretty well. That day we swam in rough water, he got seasick. The motion of the waves got to him. So we got him some Dramamine, and after that he was fine, even in much rougher water. But here's what matters. He was out there with me, even though it's not his thing. Even though he got seasick, even though it was cold and rough and uncomfortable, he was there. And I'm not sure I would have ventured out on my own, especially on the rough days. It wouldn't have been wise to. But with Paul there, I felt safe. I felt supported. I could focus on swimming instead of worrying about safety. And that's the lesson. You need support. Big goals, scary goals, they require a team. You can't do everything alone, and you shouldn't try. We did one more practice swim in rough water. Then I did another one with him supporting from the shore. This time in that nice, smooth water that I love. Race morning, the wind was blowing, the sea looked rough again, but you know what I felt? Ready. Because of these practice swims, especially that second one where we committed and got in no matter what. I had confidence. I'd been in rough water multiple times. I knew I could handle it. The swim was still hard, really hard. It took me over an hour, but I didn't panic. I didn't doubt myself. I knew I've done this before. I can do it again. And I did. That preparation, it made all the difference. So here are the lessons from these practice swims. Lesson number 1, practice in hard condition builds real confidence. Calm water practice is nice, but rough water practice is what prepares you for race day reality. In life, don't just practice when it's easy, practice when it's hard. That's where real confidence comes from. Lesson number 2, commitment before conditions. We decided to get in the water before we saw how rough it was. That decision made all the difference. In life, commit to your goal first, then figure out the conditions. Don't wait for perfect. Lesson number 3, remove barriers ahead of time. Wetsuit on in the condo, one less excuse, one less decision point. In life, what barriers can you remove before the hard day? Make it easier to show up. And lesson number 4, sometimes wisdom is knowing when not to push. We stayed out on the whitecap day. That was the right call. In life, know the difference between pushing through discomfort and pushing into danger. Lesson number 5, you need a team. Paul being out there with me changed everything. In life, big goals require support. Don't try to do it alone. So let me ask you, what's your race day that's coming up? What challenge are you facing? And are you practicing in the conditions you'll actually face? Because here's the thing, if you only practice when it's easy, you won't be ready when it's hard. You need to practice in rough water, in hard conditions, when it's uncomfortable. That's where confidence comes from. And here's the other question. Who's your support system? Who's your Paul? Who's willing to get in the rough water with you, even when it's not their thing? You need that person or those people. Find them. Ask for help. Let them support you, because big goals aren't solo endeavors. They're team efforts. My practice swims in the Mediterranean, that's where I built the confidence I needed for race day. Not in the calm, in the rough, not alone, with support, not waiting for perfect conditions, committing first. Whatever challenges you're facing, practice in hard conditions. Build your team. Commit before you're ready. That's how you get comfortable in rough water. If this resonated, hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to hear from you. What's your rough water right now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're ready to start taking action, not just mentally, but physically too, grab my free guide, 3 Secrets to Being Fit Beyond 50. It's in the description below. I'll show you how to build the strength and preparation you need from the inside out, because that's where real transformation happens. Also, come join our free community, Be Fit Beyond 50, where I go live every Wednesday with more encouragement and practical tools to help you prepare for your own rough water. I'm Lynn Weimar. Get comfortable in rough water. See you in the next video.